All right, welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. NewsX has accessed exclusive details that clearly show how Telegram is being misused by many to leak examination papers. NewsX has accessed the screenshots that show how lakhs of rupees were demanded from students for them to secure the leaked papers. The screenshots show a range of illegal activities, including the circulation of leaked examination papers, cyber fraud, and much more. Well, the government described Telegram as a new dark web, claiming its privacy features make it difficult for agencies to identify offenders. It also alleged that the platform is being used to distribute malware, facilitate cyber attacks, share stolen data, promote money laundering networks, and enable unauthorized access to citizens' personal information through bots and channels. Siddharth Rege, my colleague, is joining us at this point in time. Siddharth, this is obviously why Telegram has been banned for a certain duration in India. And even before, this leak happened, Siddharth, there were palpable feelers which were given out about Telegram that it is a platform that has escaped scrutiny despite entertaining a host of illegal activities in the past.
Well, Vineet, this is pretty damning of an evidence that we have received, and I'll just request my PCR to take this full frame before we dive into this particular document. It's a 158-page document, an affidavit that we've accessed. But before diving into specifics, here is what the government is saying. Unlike conventional platforms, Telegram is completely cloud-based, permitting seamless synchronization across multiple devices and enabling storage and retrieval of large volumes of content beyond a single endpoint device. Telegram further provides an extensive bot ecosystem enabling automated dissemination of content, user onboarding, redirection to mirror channels, and other activities without continuous human intervention. Now to look at the evidence that has been shared, and here it is that we have accessed, we need it is in great detail that the government and this affidavit has detailed every single wrongdoing that Telegram has been involved in. This, for example, includes part 1, which are the Telegram channels and bots and groups that have been named in this particular affidavit. You see the display name being mentioned, the handle and invite link that has been mentioned, the type, which is either it is a channel or a bot that has been mentioned, the reach has been mentioned as well, the pricing and modus operandi has been mentioned here as well. And these are the several of these accounts and these channels that were operating that were obviously scamming the students in exchange of money. Look at this one, Private Mafia, and this is the invite link that they were sharing. It is a channel which had an incredible reach of 15,693 students, or rather people who mostly will be students. The central organizer had demanded a rupees 10 lakh, a price for every single leak that they were putting on this particular platform. And there are almost, 22 of these platforms that have been mentioned. There are also UPI IDs that have been mentioned here as well. And the supporting infrastructure through which, they used to increase their reach beyond Telegram has also been mentioned. You can see Terabox links being mentioned over here. You can see Instagram handles being mentioned here as well. For example, giraffe.3978116 as well, where these Telegram invite links have been pushed, and these are the names of the people who have been mentioned in these particular Telegram files. You see Shashikant Garg here, who's been confirmed as an operator who operated at least 4 Telegram channels and signed off by the name NEET paper leaked. Pinned messages constitutes admission of fraud, and this is the evidence that have been collected against these 4 people: Shashikant Garg, Vishal Chaurasia, Aman Bhaiya, Jay Prasad. So this is an entire network that was running and existed to scam the students. And For example, I'm also going to talk you through this Operation ReNEET leak, the entire investigation that exposes this fraud that was going on Telegram as well. You see the number of students that have been affected here. You're talking about 22.79 lakh students who were either part of these WhatsApp groups, these Telegram channels, these coaching hubs that redirected these students to the Telegram channels as well. And Vineet, I'm going to talk about some of these Telegram links now as well. You're talking about, we spoke about Private Mafia that had 15,700 subscribers as mentioned earlier. It had an Instagram lead that I have mentioned earlier as well. And these are the particular channels that were created to lure the students in. It had these several, links through which people used to join. 15,693 are the people that we have talked about. This is the requested amount is 2,000 rupees. So if you take a sense and you do some back of the hand math, you're talking about 15,700 subscribers to this particular channel, and 2,000 rupees extracted from each of them. We're talking about lakhs and lakhs of money that was transferred to this one Jai Prasad through this fraud network that that existed on Telegram as well. So pretty damning, evidence, Vineet, here being presented by the government against Telegram, and this is the part one of the Telegram files as we've just showed our viewers.
All right, Siddharth, appreciate that exhaustive demonstration of this proof that the government has handy when it comes to prosecuting Telegram as well as banning them, because it's very difficult to ban the legal content from the illegal content. So that's why there is a blanket ban here that we see by the government in light of the discrepancies and the problems this has created for the NEET examination. Mr. Piyush Bhardwaj, cyber law expert, is with us on the program. Mr. Sakshar Duggal, AI governance law expert, also joins us on the program to give his analysis of what this means for Telegram. Piyush, I'm going to start with you. Well, Telegram has been in news in the past as well for all the wrong reasons. The government say that it is the newest, the most accessible version of the dark web. Now, the dark web is something which, as the name suggests, is used to conduct activities which, of course, are primarily illegal in nature. How did Telegram get so far that people have had these elaborate scams and schemes running on it for so long?
See, it's a very interesting question. In fact, the affidavit that has been filed before the Honorable Court today, it's a very dedicated document, more than 150 pages. And, preliminary, it suggests that it is one of those most versatile apps, which in its own existence, there is no any other such app that is being, monitored or being used in our nation. With the factors and features like bots and, operations and dissemination of information at mass scales without human intervention. There are certain features whereby at a point of time you are able to manipulate, delete, you are able to, wash off or on a subsequent date, change. So it becomes very difficult for the investigating agencies to actually trace the human intervention source of messages. And in fact, the credible documentation in terms of what information has emanated at point. In the present case concerned, it was only the bot channels. And for the viewers, I would like to, explain in general that bots are the certain sort of AI generated channels that are, pre-commanded to execute certain functions, which can include, publishing of information, dissemination of information at, certain points of time. And that puts up the investigating agencies in a very different role for the, a very difficult situation, for the reason that you can't trace any human intervention or the perpetrator or the mastermind of who has been responsible and at public at large. these bot channels were not only responsible for the request of money, acceptance of money, circulation of these kind of papers, announcements regarding such kind of illegal networking in terms of information, whereby that pieces of information were shared for a substantial amount of money. In the affidavit filed by the government, the general price tag went till the extent of 22 lakhs for some students. And only upon circulating this illegal material, subsequently these materials were manipulated in terms of being deleted from the channel and the very source. So it became actually very difficult for the prosecuting agencies to find out what is the point of origin, who is the mastermind, from where it is being regulated, considering this very institution is not registered per se as a company in India, it belongs overseas. And considering the implications and the difficulties for the government to monitor and balances in place for a sort of blanket ban till the time they have further plan of action. The kind of affidavit that has been filed in the court of law by the Union of India very categorically states that against the said ban, that the company has filed a petition that is pretty much very academic in nature and doesn't have real-time implications. So actually, the government is empowered to make such kind of ban for its for the prevention of its misuse. So this is the situation by far.
Let me also rope in Sakshar Duggal into this conversation. Sakshar, what do you think is the stance that the government should be taking? They are obviously the ones that are plagued by these inconsistencies and these fraudulent activities which take place on Telegram. But of course, Telegram has also told the courts that 150 million people, most of them, 99.9% perhaps, do not have any malintent in mind, will also be affected. I mean, it's difficult to assess who's right here.
It's quite simple here. I completely agree with government standpoint. They are right at their place because considering the back record of Telegram, and this affidavit shows very much clearly, if you look at section 79(3)(b), under which this whole affidavit has been framed. I completely agree. But one more thing I think which we are missing out here is that banning Telegram, okay, that's great, but that is just step one. What about our intrinsic security measures? Because see, there are n number of ways in today's times you can ban Telegram, but that's not just the only way through which an exam leak can take place. Therefore, we need to strengthen our intrinsic frameworks as well. Yes, even if Telegram is banned, that doesn't give you a solid guarantee that the perpetrators would not be there on different platforms and cause leakage for this exam. That is the main criteria that the government should, if you ask me, the government should take, because right now, the current infrastructure, cybersecurity frameworks of different departments altogether, they're not in place. And thanks to AI, new various ways have come up, new mediums have come up for these perpetrators to get in and cause. Yes, banning Telegram is great, but more focus should be our own intrinsic security measures.
Let me also bring in my colleague Siddharth Rege once again into this conversation. Siddharth, obviously the government is extremely concerned here. S.G. Mehta also said that the blocking order had been issued under Section 69A of the IT Act, and this was important, keeping in mind that the representation that is done through Telegram, for something as sensitive as NEET, has to be sacrosanct.
This is the evidence that my colleague Sambhav Sharma has accessed, and these are the screenshots that form that evidence that the Solicitor General himself was mentioning in the Delhi High Court. And I'm going to talk about some more details that have come out of this affidavit straight away. We've mentioned the Terabox cloud storage links that were mentioned before, and as our experts have also mentioned, why it was difficult to track. You can see a decoy being posed here, as you can see on your screens, error 404 when you click on the link, and when you actually see the active link, you can see that 5 MB of files exist, which are these fake papers that have been circulated and as mentioned on these particular Telegram groups. This affidavit also shows how these people have been warning all their subscribers and on that particular channel. The admin states that the group is public and maybe on agency radar, and that is why they had these backup links also that were placed here on the Telegram app, where you can see them being mentioned, the join backup 1.0, join backup 2.0, so that if in case the agency tracks down this particular channel, they can just move to a separate channel. The modus operandi has also been mentioned here in this particular affidavit. You can see the hook being these Instagram accounts through which people were attracted. Then you had these Telegram links that were shared. There was monetization as well, which are rupees 10 lakh demanded post-exam, evasion then also comes in because, yes, as we mentioned, there were decoys in place. You had these, obviously the edit feature that Telegram allows as well. And here is what Tushar, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta also said in court. There were these recommendations for action that were shared with Telegram. A request for to ban private mafia and backup channels that were shared. As soon as these accounts were tracked. But clearly in the affidavit it mentions that that Telegram has not been able to take any action against not just these these channels, but against these features that exist on its platform that allow this entire ecosystem to exist.
All right, thanks for that, Siddharth. Let me also rope in my colleague Sambhav Sharma into this conversation. Sambhav, the court, of course, has reserved judgment, is what we know about this case, but Pavel Durov, the CEO and founder of Telegram, is absolutely vexed and nixed as a result of this ban.
Well, absolutely. Here, what Solicitor General Tushar Mehta yesterday hinted in the Delhi High Court is very much clear with this small affidavit filed by the center in the Delhi High Court today. And it is very much clear what SG has said today, that how this platform is preferred for certain terrorist activities, and in a way, as you also highlighted, that regulatory actions can be taken against the platform, and certain other countries have already taken certain actions against this particular platform. So what SGS said inside the courtroom today, this particular affidavit by the center, by the Union of India, shows detail as to why exactly a limited ban was imposed on Telegram, because Telegram's main contention before the Delhi High Court was that why only Telegram, why not other intermediary apps? That was the major question posed by Telegram, and also in a way, Delhi High Court has asked certain questions to center as to why Section 69A of the Information Technology Act being used and are proper measures being taken. So it is this particular affidavit is a kind of explainer to that. It's a short affidavit, 158 pages affidavit, and on page number 5 and 6 itself, center is making it clear that why this particular ban is imposed on Telegram and not on other intermediaries, because there are other intermediaries as well, which Telegram has said in the Delhi High Court why there is no ban on that, and how this Telegram could be a breeding ground for further paper leak, and why the paper leak can be avoided through banning Telegram. All these answers are there in this particular affidavit. If I talk, my colleague Siddharth has already talked about in detail about important points in this particular affidavit. But here, let's talk about Telegram's privacy policy. This is point number 10 on page number 9. Here the Telegram's privacy policy expressly provides the deletion of an account results in removal of message, media, contacts and other data stored in Telegram's cloud infrastructure. And clause 10 subclause 1 of the privacy policy of Telegram states that deletion of an account removes all messages, media and contacts and every other piece of data stored in the Telegram cloud. This is exactly what was the argument of Solicitor General, who was representing center and defending this particular ban on Telegram, and this is exactly what SGS said inside the courtroom. And now in this affidavit, details of it is very much clear, and also why section 69 clause 1 is invoked by the by the center to temporarily ban Telegram. And also the most important thing is preventing unlawful activities, especially how Telegram is a kind of in a way preferred platform for certain terrorist related activities. So a national security angle is also there. And another important point, it is this particular company Telegram is registered in UAE, and so under article 226 of Indian Constitution, it has no right to challenge it, to file a writ before the Delhi High Court. These are the important submissions made by Center through this affidavit. Also, in orally, SG has made these submissions before the Delhi High Court.
All right, fair enough. That's a wonderful information, some of that you have provided us. Let me go back to my colleague Siddharth Rege. Siddharth, obviously Telegram and both the Center citing technicalities related to the platform. But the fact of the matter is that the responsibility solely lies, with the administrator of any platform which is used against the country or for anti-national activities.
Absolutely, Vineet. We now just going to go to this most damning part of this affidavit, which has the actual screenshots, of these chat channels. Where this fraud was happening. I'm just going to read out a few messages so that our viewers get the sense of what was going on here. There's obviously some warning posts and mock papers, offers that have been placed on these particular chat servers. So here this message says some channels are claiming they have the NEET paper and asking for rupees 5 to 10 lakhs. It's all fake and fraud. Don't pay a single rupee to anyone. Focus on your preparation, revise concepts and do questions. I will provide you with daily practice questions. So they're actually claiming that there are other of these fake channels that exist. So which is why you all your source of mock papers and your fraud papers will be shared on this particular channel. And here is the message where these papers have been uploaded. There are more screenshots that have been shared as a part of this affidavit as well. You can see a message being shared to the aspirants saying that the NEET paper will be uploaded shortly here. You can also see this entire, this chat page where you can see the different options, also being shared with the students. Option 1 says that if you want a full NEET paper, you can pay us rupees 10 lakh. Which it says will be taken after the exam. The option 2 obviously says that, if you need only 600 mark questions, and if 1,000 members are crossed in this channel, you can click on this particular link and get access to the papers. And here is, these screenshots that have most probably been shared by a student who has put these messages complaining as to why these papers were shared with us, and these papers have actually turned out to be fraud papers. So this is entirely what was going on in these channels as well. You see again multiple links here as well, where people, students are being told that the papers will be shared with them. You can see that you have 2,600 subscribers on this particular, channel as far as NEET is concerned. There are more such messages that have been shared as well, where these mock papers were shared, and you don't see any of these channels being shut despite all this activity that has been going on over here. So and here is the recommended action that the MeitY had submitted after these particular channels were found out. But yes, as Solicitor General clearly said, there was no action taken against any of these existing channels.
Right, absolutely. No action taken, and these activities went on completely undetected, which led to the cancellation of the NEET examination because of all these activities being absolutely guarded and being held close to the chest by a very few people who completely derailed a very important event as well as an examination in the country. Let me in fact go back to Piyush Bhardwaj. cyber law expert in this case. Piyush, it's also an anomaly to see that a platform which is registered in UAE gets to have so much heft and so much, can cause so much commotion in a country where it is not even legally registered.
Vineet, very to the point input. I mean, with the advent of platforms that are not actually based, I mean, with a lot of server-based facilities, I mean, I would like to point out to your viewers, most of the servers are not based in India. I mean, case in point, this objection was only taken by the union for the matter that the writ jurisdiction was being invoked under 226. So for the sole reason that the company is not incorporated in India, they it is a matter of only maintainability. Going back to the original question, I mean, this is one of the kind of cases that has come across our country, whereby not only the scale is at large, but at the helm of affairs, the government is jinxed to the point that they do not have any existing guidelines of how to deal with such kind of situations. I would also like to point out that case in point, it's not the question of only the entity concerned. I mean, such kind of entities in this fast-moving cyber world can be created overnight. So
Yeah,
it's
let
not
me go
about
back
being
to
an
my
entity
colleague
like
Siddharth.
Telegram
Siddharth, I
being...
believe you have some more inputs related to these screenshots that have come about pertaining to the activities that went on in Telegram.
Absolutely, Vineet. There are many of these screenshots and, channel-based data that has been shared by, the government in this particular case. And I'm just going to request my PCR to take these accounts that have been, revealed in this affidavit on the channel. Yes, there you have it. And here, you see, the channel and the username being mentioned, the URL being given. You can see that, these channels were specifically named for NEET 2026, which means that they were started right after the NEET exam was announced. So this is not something that happened a year or 2 years ago. This actually that was something that was going on immediately right now. And so the government's argument, which says that, we temporarily banned Telegram because whatever that was happening in the immediate times was absolutely concerning. This seconds that you see 7,500 subscribers on this particular channel, okay? And you see the fact that these evidences and these screenshots have been shared. I showed you one channel with 7,500 subscribers. There's another one with 18,200 monthly users. There's another one that has about 20,000 subscribers here. There's another one that has 150 subscribers. So these channels, all of them existed, and they existed to scam the people. And this entire figure that I showed you earlier had absolutely backs the government's argument that something had to be done about this. And they all are existing for the same purpose, to get money and to share some fraud papers and create more panic in a situation where there's absolute chaos. So, this is the reason why, Pavel Durov might say that, Reliance is, trying to sabotage their platform. He can say that, the government has, done something illogical by banning an entire platform. But the scale, the sheer scale, look at all these accounts, the sheer scale at which this is happening gives the government no choice. If they were to, individually block all these accounts, imagine we are just 4 days away from, or rather we were just a week away from this particular exam, which is why this temporary ban on Telegram has been imposed. And this is the damning evidence that has been shared in this government affidavit in the Delhi High Court, Vineet.
All right, Siddharth, appreciate those important inputs that you've been able to give us, and also would like to thank all our guests who joined us to share their opinion on this extremely crucial matter related to Telegram and its security and perhaps even its future in India. We'll take a short break now. Be right back.